Hebrews chapter 1. Look at what it says about Jesus and how it says what it says. This is the Amplified Version. It says, Hebrews 1, verse 3, He, Jesus, is the sole expression of the glory of God, the light being, the outrain or radiance of the divine. Notice what it says again. Jesus is the sole expression of the glory of God. So Jesus just didn't have the glory. He actually expressed the glory. He was a radiance of God's glory. So now if you're thinking with me like I'm thinking, then God living in me is not just to bless me, to save me. He's not just a passenger in my vehicle. He literally wants to be a part of everything that I'm doing. He wants to touch my spirit, my soul, and my body. He, praise the Lord, is able to save your spirit, save your soul, and even save your body. So, if I'm reading this right, the glory that's in you isn't supposed to just stay in you. It's supposed to leak out of you. Now, a friend of ours, Beth Wilson, Ray Jean's wife, they were just out at our house for about 10 days, and she told us a story that was just awesome. She said she's always wanted her life and the life of Christ in her to be witnessed by others. So she's confessed for years, Lord, let my life and the glory of Christ in me be seen by other people so that I can be a witness. She was standing in line in L.A. with a friend of hers at this restaurant that was pretty famous, and actually famous to the degree that there would be a line outside the restaurant waiting to get in for lunch. And she was down almost a block hoping that they would be able to get a table before they'd have to cut the line off and say, you don't have to come back. She's with a friend of hers, and it just happened that day that her and her friend were actually having a little bit of a squabble with each other, a disagreement. So it wasn't like, everything was perfect in the Lord, so to speak. And they got to the door, and they were let in, and they were escorted to a table, and they weren't at their table for 10 minutes until the manager of that restaurant came to the table and said, I'm so glad you're here. And they said, do you know us? Yes, I know you. Are you sure you're not mistaking us for someone else? Because we don't know you. He said, I know you. And she said, how do you know us? Or how do you know me? He said, I've watched it happen already 2 times. And he said, I just witnessed it for the 3rd time. Every time you come to this restaurant, within 10 minutes, everything in the restaurant is perfectly running where it was literally chaos before. He said, you've come and sat down when I was having the hardest day working with the chefs, and they were all cussing each other out and mad at the world. And within 10 minutes of you being in my building, they're singing songs and whistling. He said, I've seen it the other time where you came in here and we were struggling with the people that were all up in arms. You didn't get my food right. You didn't get my table right. Why did this? He said, within 10 minutes, everybody calmed down. He said, thank you for coming. I'm so excited for you to be here. She's like, oh, okay. Now look what happened. Just her presence calmed down the whole restaurant, because she was believing that God would let her life become a testimony. And something inside of her called Jesus began to come out of her, and it affected the restaurant.